Welcome to Talks with Tara, formerly Short and Sweet. Unfortunately, I haven't found a co-host yet, so I'm going to go at it alone, but we will bring in some guest stars. I've been getting a lot of questions lately about our Featherlite hand controls and what makes them the safer option. Today, we're going to bring in a special guest star. I'm not really sure what he does here, but his title is Director of Product Development. So let's welcome Dane to the show. So welcome Dane to Talks with Tara. Dane's been begging to be on this show since it was short and sweet. And now that there's an opening, we're letting him audition. So bear with us.
That's a big day for me.
I know. I know it is. So Dane, do you want to introduce yourself to the fans?
I'm Dane. I deal with the product development here at Sugar Hand Controls, primarily the electronic portions, so the Featherlites and the secondary controls.
So we've been getting a lot of questions lately about our Featherlite hand controls and the difference between the Featherlite versus mechanical and why the Featherlite's the safest option. And we thought Dane would be the perfect person to kind of explain that to us.
Perfect. So what you're going to notice, the first thing with our traditional hand controls and our Featherlite hand controls is that the traditionals have a lockout lever, and that's how you stop the gas when the hand controls are not being used. With our Featherlite series, so this is true for our hand controls and our left foot accelerator, we have what we call one source acceleration, which means only one device can be active at a time, whether it's the OEM or the hand controller left foot gas. And switching between the two requires a deliberate action by the user. So when our hand controls start up, it always starts up with the OEM pedal enabled. For those of us that have been around the industry for a while, we all know that the majority of accidents happen from untrained drivers. So we default to that safety state. So if a mechanic gets in or a valet driver gets in, they get in and drive. The hand control is always disabled. But if that hand control user gets in and wants to drive with their hand controls, they enable the hand controls. OEM pedal is disabled at that point. Only one source can be active at a time. The second thing, and I don't want to get too detailed about all of the safety features involved in our electronics.
He actually does, that's part of his job.
Is that we have full redundancy throughout the system. And what I mean by that is that all the way from our sensor, having two redundant Hall effect sensors inside of it, to the wiring, to our signal control module having two redundant microcontrollers, all of that whole system is redundant, just like the factory system. So that if there's ever a failure in one of those circuits, the vehicle will detect that and put the vehicle into a safe fault state versus having something like an unintended acceleration.
So Dane, if somebody were to ask us, why, in a very brief sentence, why is it the safest option? Give me a simplified answer.
I don't know if I can do that in one sentence, but a simplified answer would be that since we went with electronic throttle, it gives us a lot more options to be able to control how the system reacts given a multitude of different scenarios versus the just simple mechanical rods. And because of that, we've utilized and leveraged all of those different items and scenarios to ensure that it is the safest option. And I don't want to discredit our traditional because they have a time and a place. But if your vehicle is compatible with Featherlite, that really is the way to go. And that's just the safety portion. There are also a lot of other ways, which I think we'll get into at a later episode, but it's a lot of other ways that Featherlite are more advantageous when it's available for the vehicle.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Featherlite is the best option.